The Battle of Troy, a war that has echoed through the corridors of history and myth. A conflict that saw gods and mortals alike locked in an epic struggle that would change the course of destiny itself. For 10 long years, the Greeks and Trojans waged an unforgiving war on the plains of Troy. But what sparked this legendary conflict? And what were the forces that shaped its fate? It all began with a simple but fateful choice: the judgment of Paris. In the heart of Mount Olympus, a golden apple fell from the heavens, marked with the words, "For the fairest." 3 goddesses, Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite, each claimed the apple as their own. The task of deciding who was truly the fairest fell to Paris, a prince of Troy. Each goddess offered him a gift. Hera promised power and wealth. Athena promised wisdom and military success. But it was Aphrodite who tempted Paris with the love of the most beautiful mortal woman in the world, Helen of Sparta. Paris, smitten by her offer, chose Aphrodite. But this decision would ignite a war that would stain the pages of history. Helen, wife of Menelaus, king of Sparta, was taken by Paris to Troy. The Greeks, bound by an oath to defend Helen's honor, launched an expedition to retrieve her, led by King Agamemnon, Menelaus's brother. Led by powerful warriors such as Achilles, the swift-footed Odysseus, the cunning king of Ithaca, and Ajax, the mighty champion, the Greeks set sail for Troy. The stakes were high, and the war would become a test of endurance, strategy, and heroism. But Troy was no weak adversary. Its walls were legendary, and its people were led by the noble Hector, Prince of Troy. Hector, a man of honor and duty, vowed to protect his city and his family at all costs. Hector would prove to be a formidable opponent, holding off the Greeks time and time again. The Trojans fought fiercely to defend their city, but the war had no end in sight. But among the Greeks, no one was more feared than Achilles. His wrath, however, would become the turning point of the war. When Agamemnon, the Greek commander, dishonored Achilles by taking his prize, the concubine Briseis, Achilles withdrew from the fight, and the Greeks suffered for it. Achilles, consumed with rage and pride, would not return to battle until the death of his dear friend Patroclus. When Hector killed Patroclus, thinking he was Achilles himself, the stage was set for a final fateful confrontation. In a brutal and unforgettable duel, Achilles and Hector met on the plains of Troy. The fight was swift and fierce, and Hector, despite his bravery, could not match the fury of Achilles. Achilles emerged victorious, but his rage knew no bounds. He dishonored the noble Hector by dragging his body around the walls of Troy, an act that would fuel the wrath of the Trojans. But even in war, there is room for compassion. Priam, the king of Troy, visited Achilles' camp in the dead of night, pleading for the return of his son's body. Moved by the grief of the old king, Achilles allowed Hector to be given a proper burial. With the Trojans still holding strong, the Greeks resorted to one last devious strategy: the Trojan Horse. Under the guise of a peace offering, the Greeks left behind a massive wooden horse, hiding soldiers inside. The Trojans, believing they had won, brought the horse into their city as a trophy of victory. But as the night fell, the Greek soldiers emerged, opening the gates to the rest of the Greek army. The city of Troy was doomed. The Greeks stormed the walls, and the once great city fell to flames. Troy, a symbol of defiance and strength, was reduced to rubble. The war was over, but the cost was immeasurable. Heroes had died, cities had fallen, and the gods had shaped the fate of men. The Battle of Troy is a tale of love, betrayal, honor, and tragedy. A war that was never just fought by men, but by the gods themselves. Though Troy has fallen, its legacy lives on, a story of glory and ruin that transcends the ages. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more epic tales from history and myth.